most intense, thrilling, electrifying sport on the planet. Mixed martial arts. You've been looking for the definitive podcast to call your new home to hear everything about it. The search is over. This is the MMAnomaly Show. No filter. Bringing you the hottest MMA breakdowns straight from the heart of the octagon. This show is all about MMA breakdowns. For fans, by fans. We're talking UFC, MMA, and the occasional big boxing match. We'll bring our unique take on how these fights are going to play out and who we think are the best bets. Welcome to the MMAnomaly Show. No filter. And now your hosts, Olin, a.k.a. MMAnomaly, and Emiliano, a.k.a. Jive Turkey Nano.
What is up, fight fans? Welcome back to another episode of the MMAnomaly Show, No Filter. I'm your host, Olin, a.k.a. MMAnomaly, and with me, as usual, back from a short, brief vacation away from the show here, we got the co-host with the most, Jive Turkey Nano. How we doing, brother? Welcome back. Welcome back.
Doing great, brother. Great to be back. Happy Tuesday to you. I was gone, but not too far gone, right? I was right around yonder. It's actually in your neck of the woods in Oakland, learning some value selling framework. A lot of fun stuff, very riveting. But I'm excited to be back, baby. We had an awesome, fantastic, a lot of violence, and some dogs showed up on Saturday. So a lot to get into, brother. I am excited to sink my teeth into this card, you can say.
You and me both, brother. This was definitely an exciting card, albeit an underwhelming card as far as namesake goes. Still a very, very fun one to watch, and a lot of things to talk about here. So we are going to go ahead and jump right on into things. Before we start breaking down the fights, if you are new here, if you're returning, old, anywhere in between, make sure you do us a huge favor. It does help with the channel and the growth, and we just really appreciate it in general. So if you could like, comment, subscribe, smash that bell for notifications, and if you're listening to the audio-only version, like, rate, review, all that good stuff that you do for podcasts, we appreciate that. So jumping right on into the breakdown of UFC Vegas 89, aka UFC Fight Night, Ribas versus Namajunas. So the first fight of the night was someone from the royal bloodline, the Usman bloodline, that is. Big brother of the Nigerian Nightmare. We're talking about Muhammad Usman coming in against Mick Parkin, who, boy, oh boy, oh man. After Saturday night, the guy should really just change his nickname to Quick Mick Parkin. He looked just a step ahead of Muhammad Usman across that fight, in my opinion. I mean, it just looked like he was getting the better of him for the most part. Usman did have a really solid first round, but I mean, outside of that, like, he just didn't do anything that really stuck with me. All 57 of the strikes that he landed were considered significant strikes. Then again, all 72 strikes that Quick Mick Parkin landed were also considered significant strikes. Again, what stood out to me was the athleticism of Mick Parkin. He looked so much better in this fight than he did in his last one. Didn't show signs of gassing like he did in the last time out in the octagon. Yeah, instant fan in me. I definitely look forward to seeing what's next for him. Don't have a name on the tip of my tongue, but curious to hear your thoughts on this fight, and if you did have a name on the tip of yours.
This was a fun one, brother. To answer your the last part there, no one top of mind here. I would love to see either of these heavyweights continue to mix it up. A lot of people you can just jumble into a hat, and I'd be okay with the matchmakers throwing those names together. But this was a fun one to start off the card, and it was an interesting bout, to say the least. To your point, we started off seeing Muhammad jump out the gate. He nicked Mick early, had him wobbly, but it just wasn't enough, man. That shooting star did end up burning out. Muhammad Usman was not able to establish his striking techniques on a Mick Parkin. And I do think that was more compliments to our boy Mick here, man. He's a talented British fighter, fights with Tom Aspinall, showed his movement, showed his ability to weather that early storm. And it was thunderous there. Muhammad has some heavy hands. These heavyweights, all it takes is one. Okay, that is the joy in watching these fights. And that is also the blessing and the curse, you can call it. But with that being said, it was a fun one. But I do think Muhammad, from a striking perspective, has a little bit of a ways to go. You were hearing Kamaru, his brother, calling for situational awareness, calling for him to get in the pocket, to move his feet, to pick it back up, to not lose that steam, to not lose momentum. But unfortunately, after nicking Mick Parkin, again, having him on his back foot, having him on skates a little bit, for the remainder of the fight, which ended up being the full 15, I'd say for about 12 of those minutes, Mick ended up getting back into the driver's seat. Again, showing good offense, showing some good movement, and the leg kick seemed to really frustrate, and I think ended up neutralizing a Muhammad Usman. Didn't see a lot of wrestling, didn't see a lot of grappling at all, and I do think maybe that's to Muhammad's own detriment. As you throw up the goose eggs there, we didn't have anything on the ground, which can always make for a fun fight, but when two heavyweights are going at it for 15 minutes and there's no takedowns, that's telling me something here. At the end of the day, Mick Parkin keeps the O as you were throwing him up. He is still undefeated. And that was a big win against, again, Muhammad Usman. But I'm going to have to default to whatever Hunter Campbell and whatever the Brash want to do, whoever Dana White wants to set them up with. I'll be more than happy to watch any heavyweight fight. Great way to start the card.
I agree with that, and I actually have a little bit of a bone to pick with the UFC matchmakers here. Or not the matchmakers, but really just the way that they stack rank things here lately. Why do we keep getting heavyweight main events here lately? Like, this was a great way to start off the card. You start us off with heavyweights, you finish with something that's like 170 or 185 and below. Realistically, like, we know it's going to be a banger, or there's a potential for it to be a banger, but there's also potential for it to be a bit of a snooze fest, right? Two very large men going at it, getting gas across the distance, and, you know, delivering a sometimes lackluster decision win. But man, that's never the case when you've got these 185ers, these 170-pound guys, or even these 135, 115, 125-pound women in there. So yeah, I agree with you here. Great way to start off the card. Started off with a fun matchup between two very large, very strong men. Don't have a name on the tip of my tongue here. Gonna let the brass do what they do. And I just look forward to seeing Quick Mick back in there. Now, moving into this next one. This one is a really interesting one. I'm gonna let you take the lead on it. I obviously have thoughts here. So we have Igor Da Silva coming in against Andre Lima. I mean, what a fight. What an interesting fight. No, tell the people how you feel.
Sheesh, what a fun one for as long as it lasted. It was fireworks for as long as it lasted. As you might see, there's a spoiler. It was disqualified. Igor Severino did pull a big no-no. He got fired on the spot. And like I so kindly foreshadowed in the beginning here, I'm excited to sink my teeth into this fight card. I mentioned that because Igor Severino sunk his teeth into his opponent, Andre Lima. He bit him in the arm, man. Hit him right on the bicep, baby. What is going on? What you doing out there? So that's what happened here. It was a DQ due to a bite that occurred midway through the second round here. Igor, who again, for all intents and purposes, landed more total strikes, landed more significant strikes, was looking to probably have won that first round, and that second round was up in the air, although the momentum was starting to shift Andre Lima's direction. And I think at the end of the day, the telltale sign is the fact that you end up biting your opponent. Absolute craziness. I'm laughing about it, but in all seriousness, it's a bummer. You end up losing your career job because of it, even though Andre Lima, after the fact, did ask Dana White to not fire him. He asked him to keep his job. He did not want him to be impacted in that way. That might have been because he was already getting a $25,000 check from Dana White. He got a tattoo of the bite mark. It is now forever engraved on his body. It is etched in stone. And he ended up getting another $25K from Dana White. So that's $50K for Andre for getting bit on the bicep. I take that any day of the week. Wow. I mean, what more do I need to say, brother? Jump on in here when you need to, because my goodness, that was absolute craziness. I can't remember the last time. That literally might be the first one I've seen live that I can remember. I mean, we're talking since Mike Tyson, Evander Holyfield. I mean, how often is someone getting bitten in the gosh darn ring? It's craziness, man.
I mean, definitely not very often. Great breakdown first and foremost, but I gotta say, like, good on him for getting the I got bit bonus. Dana literally called it the I got bit bonus. And after he went and got the tattoo, as you said, he got another 25K. Now, the most recent time I can recall seeing something like this was actually when I was tuning in on my laptop, watching a regional fight with our boy Ian Juice Miller. And he got bit. I think it was in like South Florida. He got bit on his back. Dude left teeth marks and everything. And I mean, it was all bad, dude. Like, I instantly thought of Ian and messaged the group chat and was like, hey, you having flashbacks? That's what it reminded me of. Now, again, addressing the elephant in the room here, going to keep it no filter as we always do. Igor Da Silva was winning this fight. I have no idea why he did what he did. If you're losing a fight, obviously, like, still don't cheat. But if you're winning a fight, literally, what in the actual fuck are you doing? Like, I genuinely don't understand. So there's another elephant in the room that I really want to address here when it comes to this. Now, two things. One, the guy instantly got fired from the UFC, right? If I had to guess, I'd say he's probably going to get blacklisted for the most part from the sport of mixed martial arts. A lot of promoters are not going to want to work with this guy, a la Rousimar Paul Harris. If you know, you know. If you don't, do a quick Google of Rousimar Paul Harris. I know it's hard to spell, but Google will help you if you get it wrong. I'm not going to attempt it. But that being said, guy he got cut from the UFC instantaneously. Next big thing here is he's not getting paid. So the NSAC has withheld show money, all of his money. He's getting nothing. So to an extent, he did go out there and do his job, and he's not getting anything for it now. Do I agree with this or do I disagree with this? Now, me and Mary had a discussion about this, and she's like, you know, I mean, it's one thing if he cheats and like this is a once-off thing. Like, I think maybe they're taking it too far with like him not even getting paid or anything like that. Like, he's lost money already because of this fight, I'm sure. And she's not wrong. But that's when you have to go back and you look at people's records prior, right? Like Rousimar Paul Harris, when he held on to chokes, when he held on to ligament things, submissions where he actually tore ligaments after the ref was trying to stop the fight. Like, screw me once, shame on you. Screw me twice, shame on me, right? So if you've done it multiple times, you're just a bad person. You probably shouldn't be in this sport. So it was brought up in a discussion on Twitter. Is cutting Igor Severino the right call by the UFC? One person who I don't know commented on it and said, it's incredibly unjust. A bite to the arm is nothing in a sport as brutal as MMA. And then he called out Arnold Allen and said that he poked Nick Lintz's eye in there about this, that, and the other. So then Arnold Allen says, Nick was the dirtiest fighter I fought in my career. I had double underhooks on the cage. He used his thumbs in my eyes to escape multiple times. He pulled my shorts. He held my gloves. He eye gouged me with his thumbs, etc. So basically, in short, we don't see everything that's happening in these fights. Maybe that wasn't the first time this guy cheated in that match. And on top of that, to top it all off, it's not the first time that he's probably cheated in mixed martial arts. Also, he grabbed the cage during that fight how many times?
Yeah,
I don't know if you noticed that, but he definitely did.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I digress. Like,
it's a tough one. Yeah, it's a tough one, man.
Say, like, you get away with cheating, like on MMA Fighting on SBN, the same channel that produces the Helwani show. The other show that they do, like No Bets Bar with Jed Mishu, he says all the time, cheat in MMA. With all due regards, you should cheat because you're never going to lose a fight because of it. John Jones has poked someone in the eye every single fight, or kicked someone in the dick, or done something else shady. Every single fight, has never lost a fight because of it, aside from the like 12-6 elbow bullshit one.
Right.
And he's not wrong, right? Like, I disagree with it. I would always tell you to never cheat, right? Because it's the right thing to not cheat. Like, you see all the fucking Captain America stuff behind me. You see where my mind is as far as morality. But a lot of these guys and girls, they are going in there and they are cheating. And I am not saying they're doing it because they're bad people. If you're in a fight, you're in a fist fight, right? Like, sometimes instinctually, if you're going down, you're going to grab the cage. Biting should never be an instinctual move, though, in a professional fight. Like, that's just
as low as it gets. Let's be honest. Yeah, let's be honest. It's as low as it gets. We've all been in our fair share of street fights. We've all may have even been mad at a sibling or a family member or some random person where maybe you felt deep down, maybe you don't want to admit it, but you're like, I want to bite this person or I want to inflict some sort of pain. I actually bit a poor little girl when I was in preschool. So please don't cancel me for that. I was very young. I was on timeout, served my time. Supposedly she was picking on me, but I digress. These things happen, right? But to your point,
I learned anything from that story. It's that Nano's got that dog in him.
Take me out the schoolyard, baby, but can't take the dog out the yard, baby. Come on. That always stuck with me, man. That's a fight or flight. You know what I mean? No, but all things considered, it does feel a bit harsh. I think a couple things that I thought through after the fact and hearing a couple people talk about it, hear Chael Sonnen talk about it. Sometimes these things can happen when it comes to a body part or getting choked and maybe the hand is across the face, maybe kind of gets into the mouth a little bit. When we were watching it live,
Liz Carmouche comes to mind.
And watching
she had bite marks on her forearm, but it's because she was literally prying her forearm into Ronda Rousey's teeth.
Yeah,
so it's not like Rousey was biting down, right?
So it could have been, it could have been on that bottom row, which is exposed, something like that. That can happen. But to see, and it didn't feel like it looked that vulgar or obvious when we were watching it live, but after seeing the replay, still couldn't really necessarily see it. And then you see him flex and you see the full bite mark. One of the other things I was pointed out during the live broadcast as well is it didn't break skin. So I think although
the only reason it didn't break skin, with all due respect, is because he has a mouth guard on half his teeth.
Which I would think it was even surprising that there were teeth marks in general to begin with, right? I'm like,
how hard he was biting.
How did that even?
Saw it in live action, because the fighter was complaining about it. Silva was complaining about it. He pointed down, and I was like, "What is he pointing at? Like, is he like grabbing his shorts?" And then I like literally leaned forward on the couch, and I was like, "Oh my god, I think he's biting him." And then whenever they showed the replay, it was insane.
Yeah. That's funny. And I'd be curious to see how much more bruising or things like that. But, another thing that comes to mind where doing an illegal move on someone, which that's categorized as something illegal, right? You can't do it in a fight, just like you can't do other moves as well.
No headbutts, no kicks to grounded opponents in the head, etc.
Yeah, the reality is this one, although it's the least respectful, it's the least damaging to the opponent. And from the sense that, and I'm thinking of a Peter Yan illegal knee on Aljamain Sterling, where that or a soccer kick to a downed opponent, or even that 12-6 elbow, which doesn't necessarily make as much sense to me. But it's like there are certain strikes where, hey, you can potentially change someone's life in there. A bite obviously is not ideal, and I mean it could take a year off as well. But I'm like, okay, on that scale, it wasn't like the worst thing. So to see the immediate text, like he's gone, I think Dana, it almost felt like Dana was maybe reacting a bit extreme there. But again, I mean, how else do you reprimand him, right? Because the other thing is too, maybe you fine him, right? Yeah, because maybe
disagree with you, just because like you're saying it's the least like offensive thing, right? As far or the least damaging thing. Knee to the head of a grounded opponent, obviously going to take the cake, or a soccer kick to the head of a grounded opponent. That's fucking horrible, right? You can end somebody's life, let alone change somebody's life, change their career. And this one is, he could be back in there in 6 weeks fighting if he wanted to, possibly, especially like if he took no other damage in the fight. But the big thing is, if we're fighting and I don't realize that your hands are down and I knee you in the head, that's an accident. You don't accidentally gnaw on somebody's arm. And like, make no mistake, he didn't like get his face driven into it. He went out of his way, lifted his head, and bit down on it. It's like, have you ever seen like the funny meme videos of like the best rear naked choke escape defense? And a guy pulls like a lighter out of his pocket and flicks the lighter and starts burning the guy's elbow. He's like, oh shit, let's go. It's like that. Because like that, you think that little, like he didn't even get burned because he moved his hand fast enough, but it got him out of that position.
I almost would respect it if it were in that sense. If he were getting like choked out or something, and he bit his thighs like in his arm. I almost would respect that a little bit more. But
position, he knew he was about to get taken down. Dude had hooks, and so he's like, "Well, if I can bite his arm, he's going to lose one hook.
Yeah.
If he loses one hook, I can get better position.
No, it's a wild move.
Job and career.
It's a wild move. Yeah, I guess, man, because even the other thing is like you could potentially find someone as well. Like, and hey, he did already technically get fined by not getting paid for the fight or not getting the show money or things like that. Who knows what his contractual obligation was or if he had anything at all. But yeah, it's like, you know, because if it were someone with a higher status, like a star or something happened, like Sean Strickland, let's say, right? Maybe he just goes berserk. Would Dana do the same thing, or would he just fine him or find a way to kind of skid around it, right?
So I think that's why he cut him, is actually because of the precedents that it sets. So example, if he finds him, like real talk, you can't find to my knowledge, I don't think you can find somebody in a professional fight more money than they were going to make for that professional fight, right? So like maybe you can, even if you can, how much are they going to fine him? 50K, 100K? Cool, bro. Sean Strickland made over $1 million for his last fight.
Yeah.
It's like a slap on the wrist for him, or a John Jones or somebody like to that stature. So you're basically giving them yet another get out of jail free card. Whereas if you take this guy on the lower end and you just fucking wreck his life, cut him from the sport.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think John Jones or Sean Strickland are even the most unhinged at the top would even think about doing something like that. Not that they would have before, but now maybe the guy that could be the next John Jones 10 years from now, when he starts his career and makes it to the UFC, that thought won't even cross his mind, no matter how bad of a position he's put in.
I got you there. And maybe, again, to play devil's advocate, because I love the back and forth here. And hey, something like this doesn't always happen. So it's great content to talk around. But let's keep this in mind too, brother. This guy's 20 years old, was just 19 a few months ago, right? Would a suspension, maybe a year, maybe even 2, maybe 3, could that have even been justified? Or do you think the cutting is just, hey, zero tolerance?
I mean, that's the thing. Like he literally bit another man. That's tough to get past, dude. Like,
that's fair. I mean, it's hard. I know. If I'm his defense attorney, it's an uphill battle. I'm certainly not advocating it, but you know, curious to hear your thoughts around that, because there are different avenues he being Dana and Brash could have taken here. But the immediate, I mean, I don't even know if Andre Lima left the octagon yet, and it was like, oh, we're getting word he's gone. It's like, oh, geez.
But okay. I mean, it's like, okay, so like best case scenario, you have him put him on like a performance plan, right? Or an athletic performance plan, or athletic plan, whatever they call it. Like, do you know off the top of your head who they've put on those plans before? Because they have put UFC fighters on athletic plans. Well,
I feel like it's typically performance enhancing drug related, like a PED. So that's totally different.
It's usually not drug related. So they actually do it with people that they think show promise, but they want to slow roll them. They did it with Chase Hooper and they did it with Joe Pyfer. I want to say they did it with Joe Pyfer. Or no, sorry. The kid.
Bo Nickel or no?
Raul Rosas. Yeah. They did it with him and they did it with Chase Hooper because they were both so young. They wanted to put them on athletic performance development plans. So like, that's the only like development or like learning plan that I've heard them put anybody on. And they do it to people that I feel like they're rewarding. So like, guy went out there and literally just like took a bite out of someone's arm. I don't think there's any reason to reward him with anything. Like you don't
did they punish Jorge Masvidal for 1, punching Leon backstage, or 2, assaulting Colby?
He should have definitely been punished for both of those things and I've been an advocate for that for years. I'm so happy that Leon got his fucking revenge finally on him.
So it's like the answer is that's like, I don't really think so. And he was a cash cow. So we're talking about actual assault and legal ramifications. It's like if Andre didn't press charges, it's like, what's that?
They also shifted an entire fight card to another state when John Jones failed a drug test just so he could fight. So I mean, one of my dad's favorite sayings that he used to say all the time growing up is, son, shit talks and money walks.
That's fair. Yeah. Don't cash a check. Don't let your mouth cash a check that your ass can't check.
He says that all the time too, but like shit talks, money walks, right? Like you can talk all the shit in the world, but like the money is where people go. So even if the money's in the wrong place, like people are going to go there.
Yeah.
Like if somebody commits a crime but they're rich, that's the one that's going to get away with the crime, a la John Jones.
No, that's facts. No, you got to know. You got to know where you're at. You got to have some self-awareness there.
I mean, when it's a drop of water in an Olympic-sized pool worth of PEDs, I guess.
I mean, ridiculous. Yeah. All things considered, man, it's you feel for the kid, right? I mean, I think we all can relate to literally being 20 years old, however long or recent that is for us listeners here. But,
Smart.
Just brutal, absolutely brutal. I laugh it off. I kind of have the dark humor. I do find it pretty funny, but I feel for him, and I do hope he can bounce back because, frankly, he's a talented fighter. So maybe someone else will pick him up. The reality is even if he were to stick around in the UFC, that just would have ended up sticking with him anyways. So maybe Dana thought about it from that perspective of that. It's not like it's really going to shake. That's ever going to shake off. No one's going to ever forget that. But man, what an interesting one.
I mean, at the end of the day, it bites, right? But
we might have to have a couple more bite teeth references in here. Let's go. We got a few more in us.
But I mean, like I said, he's done with the UFC. But you got to think PFL is absolutely chomping at the bit to get a hold of this guy. All right, last one.
Classic.
So, with that being said, we will go ahead and jump on into the next one here, folks. I don't have a ton to say about this next one. It was pretty one-way traffic. Like, they both threw over 150 strikes, but one of them landed closer to 75 and the other one landed closer to 25. So, pretty lopsided as far as the numbers go. And then when you look at the takedowns, Montserrat Rendon, she looked good out there, right? Like she had solid takedowns. She just wasn't able to really establish the amount of control and dominance that I think she was looking for. And as a result, Daria Zeleznikova was able to pull off the victory here, get the decision win. And she made it look fairly dominant in my opinion for the most part. No, not going to play matchmaker. I won't say that she's like the most exciting fighter in the world that I'll be looking forward to next, but I'll definitely be paying attention to her next fight. And I definitely look forward to seeing kind of who they match her up against. I'm wondering how slowly they're going to tip her up the ladder.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see. The bantamweight division certainly heating up in the women's side there. So excited to see what's next for Daria. She's certainly displayed some great striking, really good boxing, and good defense when it came to the wrestling and when it came to Montserrat getting her in vulnerable positions on the ground. She was able to respond. She was able to get back up quickly. Really, although the 5 minutes of control time, over the 15 minutes was not dispersed, or I guess what I should say is over the 15 minutes, that 5 was really dispersed throughout. And within those 5 minutes, not a lot was done. Not a lot of damage, not a lot of dominance, nothing threatening, no submission attempts at all. Those are things that are negative strikes or negative knocks against a Montserrat, who is a bit more one-dimensional. She's a jiu-jitsu specialist. And she wasn't able to really get the dominance there or get to a win, which is obviously showed on the show scorecards because Daria was able to establish that jab. I think kind of midway through that first round, certainly through the second and third, the jab led to everything else. Opening up from there, just overall showed her just higher ability of striking pedigree than a Montserrat. But was a fun one, and certainly not going to play matchmaker on this one either, brother. But excited to see what's next for Daria because she might be another name in the bantamweight division that we might be talking about again here really very soon. So exciting.
Definitely agree on all fronts. Montserrat, as I put in the chat there, landed 12 strikes across 4.5 minutes of control time. So again, when she was on top in position, she wasn't really doing a whole lot with it. Just was not doing a whole lot with it. So we'll go ahead and jump on into the next one. We had Jarno Ahrens coming in against Stephen Nguyen. This one, my goodness. This one definitely did not go the way Vegas thought it was going to go. Didn't go the way Topology thought it was going to go, and it did not go the way I thought it was going to go. Stephen Nguyen did look good in there up until he didn't, right? He had a really strong start in that fight, but man, Jarno Aarons, that guy. He was pouring it on. I feel like as the fight got going, so did he. So in the first round, he actually threw and landed, or rather landed his highest output. He landed 40 strikes out of 72 thrown, which was really solid considering he landed 19 more strikes than his opponent did that round. So almost a 2-to-1 clip here as far as strikes landed in round one for Jarno Aarons. However, Stephen Nguyen did land a takedown. He got all of 10 seconds of control time, though. So didn't really pay off for him. A lot of effort, not a lot of payoff. In the second round, it was more of the same. Fun fact, Jarno Aarons, very consistent guy. Threw the exact same number of strikes in round two as he did in round one. 72 strikes thrown. This time he landed only 33. So landing at a 45% clip. And all of these were considered significant strikes as well, I should say. Of his 40 in round one, only one of them was not considered significant. Same for his opponent. Every single strike landed was considered significant here, guys. Third round, no different. Now, interesting fun fact. In the first and second round, Aarons threw the same number of strikes, 72. In the second and third round, he landed the same number of strikes exactly in each round. So 33. I just thought that was really interesting. Very consistent fighter. And he did look very much the same in round three as he did in round one, in my opinion. Just very consistent through and through. Very impressed with this kid. Featherweight is a stacked division. I don't think he's ready for top 15 yet, but I definitely am excited to see him crack top 20, top 25. What were your thoughts on this kid?
Yeah, brother. Great breakdown there. I'll just add my 2 cents in that Jarno is an absolute savage. He's an absolute dog. I don't know how I would have felt going into it. Certainly didn't break it down as thoroughly as you and Mad Max Meridian did last week, but I would say that, man, what I did see throughout that fight was a Jarno that just looked to be the stronger fighter, looked to be more crisp, first to the punch, and just the way he was able to rip the body, throw the knees down the pipe, drop Steven a couple times there. I kept thinking, man, this guy looks really strong. Steven's a tough son of a gun for sticking in there and weathering those kind of haymakers. But again, like you said, man, from pillar to post, Jarno kept his consistency, kept his foot on the gas, did not slow down, did not lose any power. Man, what a performance. The featherweight division is stacked. This guy is a newcomer. I'm excited to see what's next for him. Something about these dudes with these chest tattoos just come in ready to freaking rock and roll. I don't know if it's because he looks like a Peaky Blinder guy. Regardless, dude's a savage, 29 years old. Run it, man. Someone we need to be talking about more often. Coming off a couple losses, so I'm sure he was really excited about wiping that clean, cleansing the palate a little bit of a detox, getting back in the winners column. So way to go, Jarno.
Absolutely. And welcome to the chat, Booba time. If you guys are on Twitch, make sure you go check that guy's channel out. He is a great time. Fun watch. Welcome to the channel. Happy to see you in the chat. So yeah, man, not going to play matchmaker for this one. This next one broke my heart a little bit, guys. Not going to lie to you. You know I'm a big fan of the old dogs. You know I'm a big fan of Tough, too. We even had a little Tough dog parlay, which was a double miss. Did we get any prizes for that, you guys? No? Maybe not? Maybe a shot for our worries? Well, either way, I'm going to do a shot for this one because, you know, I bet a shot on it. We had Cody Gibson coming in against Miles Chapo Johns. This one was nasty, guys. Miles Johns is an absolute hammer of a human being. And Cody Gibson is just someone that does not know the meaning of the word quit, right? If you've ever seen the Dragon Ball Z movie, the Broly one, the first one, where I think Broly's getting just annoyed and he's like, why won't you give up? And Goku's like, I guess I never learned how. That's Cody Gibson. Like, dude has never learned how to give up. Dude has never learned how to quit. He was eating shots, man. But he was still moving forward up until the very end. I wish he would have thrown a little bit more. I was getting frustrated with how I felt like he was a bit trigger shy in there against Chapo. And maybe there was something going on. Maybe I missed something in there. And again, Chapo was landing at will, right? He landed 64 strikes on this young man. But Cody landed 52 of his own. I really think one of the big things that was kind of not anticipated from the side of Cody Gibson was actually going to be the control time here, right? So Miles Chapo Johns. I mean, he went out there and he was working like a machine for takedowns. And not only that, but he was really just establishing control up against the cage in general, right? I agree, Booba. He is built like a tree trunk. Me and my buddies were talking. We feel like he's built like a miniature Yoel Romero. Literally, even the way that he fights, he moves around slow and menacing. And then when he does decide to throw, it's just quick out of nowhere. It's like a cobra strike, right? You're like, oh, it's not going to be that fast. Oh, there it is. I just got bitten. I'm going to die. That's how Miles John fights. And this was no different, man. The craziest thing, though, is I feel like Miles Johns has dynamite when he throws, but he could not knock down my guy, Cody Gibson, right? He said it himself on his Instagram the next day. He just couldn't find his flow. He couldn't get into that natural flow state that he usually shows so well, did Cody Gibson. But, man, Johns looked good. He really impressed me. Last time I bet against him, I think. Nano, what were your thoughts?
That's fair.
I do my shot.
That's fair, brother. Yeah, I think that Miles John absolutely looked like a dog out there, built like a tree trunk. Good call out there, Booba. I'll pour my shot here as well. But yeah, man, I think that Cody started off well. So, if you're rooting for him, you certainly are liking what you're seeing in that first round. He looked good on the feet, was able to get the takedown, able to get in some dominant positions there. But as the fight went on and as Miles sort of got settled in, like you said, had his movement a little bit stiff, but still just clean boxing. It wasn't the fastest, most explosive fighter you've seen in there, but he certainly knew his way around. Really good footwork, really good head movement, able to avoid damage for the most part, turn Cody into a 50% striker, which we know typically he's not. So that was interesting. And then able to get some of those takedowns later on, able to get the control time. Again, this dude's built like a tree trunk, and it certainly showed in terms of the strength. And then my other note here as well, and I would have said this going into it, Cody, a little more weather on the tires, man. At 36 years old, 20-10 record. What kind of version were we going to see? And how is he going to look over a full 15 minutes against a young, up-and-coming Miles John with half the fights on his belt, 29 years old? So there's a 6-7 year gap. That never trends well for the older fighter. So I would have had to have been talked into Cody. Obviously, we've seen him on Tough. We know how tough this dude is. But again, another dude with a chest tat that is just lean, mean, and a fighting machine. So shout out Miles John. Definitely earned a fan in your boy. Cody, much love, brother. Hopefully you can get a couple more fights in you. But yeah, it's a young man's game. And the younger, just a stronger fighter was the one victorious on Saturday.
As unfortunate as it may be, Metallica said it best. It's sad but true. Sometimes that's the way it goes. Cheers, brother.
Salute.
To the good, the bad, and the ugly. So, moving into the next one. Oh, man. Ricardo Ramos and Juicy J, Julian Erosa. We did a nice little breakdown, me and Mad Max Meridian, on this one, and we were talking about how slick Ricardo is, and how he's probably going to get this one. And right as we wrapped up, I was like, every time I've ever bet against Julian Erosa, I've gotten it wrong. So, you really can't count out Julian Erosa in this. You can never really fully count this guy out. When you do, he'll surprise you. And I mean, he did, right? 2 minutes and 15 seconds into round number 1. This was back and forth, little bar brawl, little barn burner action, boys and girls. It was 12 strikes to 11. These guys were just going at it for 2 minutes. And then out of nowhere, our guy, Juicy J, Julian Erosa, just jumps up there and gets the sub. I mean, that was just fun, right? As Dustin Poirier says, don't be silly, jump the gilly, and he did. Dustin Poirier probably watched that and just smiled with glee, when he saw that shit taking place. I would have, if I'm him, would have been like, It was nice. It was a really nice guillotine. It was a really nice performance for Juicy J. I wouldn't be mad at him sailing off into the sunset with this win, but I mean, the odds of that happening are about as good as the odds of my bets hitting this past week were. So probably not going to see that. Nano, what were your thoughts on this fight?
Hey man, I love it, brother. Great breakdown. I'll just add my 2 cents in that Julian arose as a dog, and he wasn't silly. He wet his willy and he stuck with the gilly, man. That was an absolutely fun fight. Dude's a dog. You took my Dustin Poirier joke. Was going to definitely mention him on here, and him probably watching and doing the Leonardo DiCaprio gif, sit up his seat. Ooh, 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 ooh. So yeah, brother. What a performance! What a gilly! And I think I heard Chiesa breaking it down after on the post-fight show, but he mentioned his ability to, because he was kind of losing it as Ricardo stood up, which you would assume is maybe the right move there, is kind of explode out of that gilly. But Julian did a good job of staying composed, took a little ride there, but also kind of worked his way back up on Ricardo's back. So he kept himself north and south, which was good, right? He didn't lose positioning. He didn't fade off. He kept himself right where he needed to be and was able to sink it in there, which I think most people wouldn't have probably lost it. I mean, like we see maybe Dustin typically do. So again, hope Dustin was taking notes after he reacted like Leo would. Ooh, ooh, ooh. But yeah, great performance and fun fight, man. Love seeing a good gilly.
Great performance, fun fight. Don't know what's next for him. Don't care, because I'm going to be watching it either way.
Featherweight
I've been a fan of this guy since tough. You know what I'm saying? Featherweight is stacked. Speaking of stacked, good Lord, you hate to see him back to back to back, stack to stack to stack. I'm going to pour up another one here because Halabah, woo, woo. Halabah. We're gobbling up these shots tonight, folks. Kurt Halabah. Oh, man. I've said this on this show before, and I will say it again, and I will stand by it, damn it. If you ever meet a fighter, it becomes almost impossible to not root for them and bet for them. I did both on Saturday night. I met this guy at International Fight Week. His wife took the picture of us for me. She was a sweetheart. So was he. I mean, this was just, I just underestimated Trey Ogden, I think. I don't even think it's anything against Kurt Halabah, because I just think this is one of those guys that could be the future of martial arts. Kurt Halabah hits very hard. And when he was landing, you can tell that they were getting to Trey Ogden to an extent here, right? But Manowitz were these guys just durable as fuck, right? Kurt absorbed 225 strikes, which is insane. His opponent absorbed 129 strikes. Now, this is what I love about Kurt Halabah, right? His opponent landed 62% of his shots to the head, 11% to the body, and 25% to the legs. Okay? Pretty staggering differences there across the percentages, right? Which makes sense. That's how it typically goes. A lot of people headhunt. Maybe they'll go to the body. Maybe they'll go to the leg. Even then, it's going to be difference between those two. Kurt, love the consistency. You know we love consistency here, baby. 31% to the head, 31% to the body, 37% to the legs. He does not play favorites. He's just trying to hurt your shit, bro. And you love to see it. But I digress. His opponent was just the better man on the night. The way that he was able to move in and out, dictate the distance of the fight was honestly the most impressive thing. Both men did land most of their strikes at distance. Now, his opponent, obviously the control time, right? I was impressed with him landing at distance when he chose to, but the grappling is what dictated this fight from start to finish, right? He got 4 minutes and 12 seconds of control time in the very first round, 2 minutes and 52 seconds in the second round, and 4 minutes and 5 seconds in the third round. Now, if you actually look at kind of how many significant strikes they landed, it's crazy, because One man controlled the fight for 4 minutes and 12 seconds, and the other outlanded him 4-1 on significant strikes. 5-1, actually. So when they were standing, it was Kurt's show. Kurt had 10 seconds of control in round 2. His opponent had 2 minutes and 52 seconds. And there was a 6-strike differential between their significant strikes landed. In round number 3, 4 minutes and 5 seconds of control time. That means just 55 seconds was the fight on its feet. And there was only a 4-strike difference between significant strikes landed in that round. So again, great job to Trey Ogden. I tip my cap to you. Kurt Holobaugh, work on your grappling just a little bit. Get that Chuck Liddell style wrestling negation. I don't want you to become a grappler, but just negate the takedown so that way you can do what you do best, which is hurt people on the feet, man. They call you the Hurt for a reason. So get back to that. But in the meantime, was very impressed with Trey Ogden. I think that grappling is going to be a very, very big problem for a lot of people. And I have a name on the tip of my tongue. First, tell us how that fight made you feel as I pour up this shot for Kurt the Hurt.
Oh, man, I got mine poured. I'll take one with you, although I would not have been on that same side as you, unfortunately. And again, I have to preface, I know I'm a draft turkey here, but I personally did not meet Kurt, so I can opt out of that same logic because I'd be the same way, let's be honest, right?
Well, we did get to interview Trey Ogden's disciple.
Our boy Garrett Armfield was on the show. Shout out. I mean, and seeing him, knowing he was in the corner, seeing the build up, seeing a little bit of a glimpse behind the curtain, just a little bit, just enough for us fans to really appreciate what our boy Garrett's doing on Instagram there. Good follow on there and X as well. But yeah, again, that would have been my deal breaker, right? I would have been bending with my heart a little bit and would have just assumed Trey Ogden, who's coach Trey, to go in there and find a way to get it done. He's an athletic guy. He's got a good record. And honestly, what's interesting with this fight, how it made me feel was a bit torn, right? Because I'm a tough guy. We broke it down. Like I was equally as excited to see Kurt Holobaugh go in there and have a good chance to get into the winner's column, to get on track, to really, do something there. And I say winner's column. I mean, he won in the finale last year. So continue that winning streak, I should have said. But, again, unfortunately, it was a good meets good. And, Trey really was able to win during some of those exchanges, and to the extent that he was able to get it to the ground where he knew that was where he'd be able to win. And he was able to get 11 minutes of control time. 3 takedowns out of the 4 he was able to land. So at a 75% clip there. And I think the caveat and when I'm looking at the numbers and why I'm feeling like it wasn't as one-sided as maybe some people might think, it did feel like the striking exchanges, they were very evenly matched up. It almost felt like a sparring match in the sense that they both were throwing caution to the wind. They both were free flowing in there, and you really broke it down well. But I think, again, Trey was just one step ahead. And again, the neutralizer, frankly, was being a little bit more active, but then also coupling that with the takedowns and having 11 minutes of control time where Kurt was just unfortunately a sitting duck. I mean, it was a fish out of water. Really did not have anything to offer when it came to explosion on the ground, right? Like, technique or even submissions. He's not this jiu-jitsu specialist, so I wasn't expecting anything there. But, when you're not a young guy and you're not the stronger guy, you can't just rely on muscling out of certain positions. So he really, unfortunately, was stuck at certain times. And again, that's just compliments to Coach Trey going out there and just kind of outclassing him on the ground. But when it comes to the striking, man, we know how much of a dog these guys are. And man, I'm excited to see what's next. They're cooking out there something with Coach Trey and the boys. And, Kurt at 37 years old, would love to see him maybe coast off in the sunset with one more win before calling it a career. You said you did have a name, so I'm curious to hear your thoughts on who you want one of them or either of them to see next, because we've yet to make a prediction. So what you got?
Well, I do have a name on the tip of my tongue. That name might surprise you. He's coming off of a loss to a very highly ranked opponent that I don't think he deserved to fight, but he got handed that fight. Talking about Benny St. Denis. Benoit St. Denis versus Trey Ogden. I think that's a fun fight. I think he's right outside the top 15. And I think with that kind of grappling, Trey Ogden could really, really put him in a bad position and gas him out early on. Carries a lot of muscle, carries a lot of weight, and I think that could be a bad look for him to go in there against the Trey Ogden. What are your thoughts on that fight? Do you does that interest you at all?
I love that, brother. I love that matchup. That's a great nod for our boy Trey Ogden, Coach Trey, to get somebody that's an absolute dog, a savage, and Benoit Saint Denis coming off a loss. I'm sure he'll want to avenge that as soon as possible. And I don't think Trey had any injuries. Speaking for him here, I mean, we've interviewed Garrett. I act like we're in the camp now, but I'm going to assume he'd say hell freaking yeah to that. So sign me up. Let's go.
You got to think that he would want that fight. I mean, I think Benny St. Denis probably number 16, maybe 17, if that. So give him that guy. If he beats him impressively, he's top 15 material. So go ahead and you got your sport.
Oh, I'll mute myself. Absolutely. Salute, brother.
There we go.
Shout out to the tough boys. It was a tough outing for them, let's say.
Tough night, tough crowd, tough.
They lost just by the skin of their teeth.
You had to do another one.
I'm not done yet. Still got some more.
All right. So in this next one, it's time, guys. We have made it. We have made it all the way to the main card.
It's time
to start breaking down this main card, folks. So the main card started off with a bang. It was Fernando Padilla coming in against Luis Pajuelo. What an absolute banger of a fight. I am going to let you take the lead on it just so I can let my cat out of the room because she is like dying to get out of the door right now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I'm dying to lead, man. You're doing such a great breakdown. Thank you, brother. Thank you. You're doing such a great job. Let me butt on in here. But man, our boy Fernando Padilla coming out of Mexico, representing, trying to avenge that loss that he most recently had back in 2023 to a Mr. Nelson. And boy, did he avenge that in spectacular fashion. The featherweight at a 6'1", quite a stature, quite a long and tricky puzzle piece to try to figure out there in the octagon. And unfortunately, our boy Luis was the one to witness it and experience it and get a feel of it firsthand. He had some moments. There were a couple times where I thought, ooh, he's gonna hurt him. How's Fernando gonna respond to some of these counters? Did just fine, sat in the pocket, got himself collected, and then just poured it on Luis, and then finally found that Darce choke, which was absolutely phenomenal. Fernando surprised me. I mean, this guy, cool name. It's my dad's middle name, so shout out Fernando. Loki was just rooting for him in that sense. But what surprised me was for how long and for lack of a better word, just fragile he looks. Dude is strong. Dude possesses some serious power. And again, to the ability to see and secure a Darce choke, it was fantastic to watch. I mean, that was enough for me to see, and that this dude's an absolute problem. Love to see him continue to get stronger, although at a 6'1" frame, maybe it can't get too strong now. But he has some really sharp skills. He was throwing some accurate punches. Everything was with purpose. I know it's 50% according to the statistics here, but everything looked good, looked clean. And man, what a nighting. What a way to start off the main card here. Absolute fireworks. First round finish is always fun. Another featherweight. Oh boy, these feathers were feathering this weekend, man. Don't have a name for anyone that's next for him. That being Fernando Padilla, the winner. But at 27 years young, sky's certainly the limit. I don't know if there's going to be another UFC Noche coming up. But man, get this guy back on a card ASAP. What you thinking, brother? Uh-oh. Did you double mute?
Like the double mute, folks. I love this kid. I really like this kid a lot. I agree with you on all fronts here. Get him on the next UFC Noche card. They definitely have one of those planned. I don't know if they've got a full stacked bracket for it, but if they don't, put him on there. If they do, add another fight and put him on there. Guys, I mean, this dude is the truth. He looked slick as hell out there. Smooth as butter, slick as oil. I mean, he was just a smooth operator. He came out there and just from start to finish, he made it look easy. He got the knockdown, landed 35 strikes to 7 of his opponents, 34 of his were considered significant to 5 of his opponents. Oh man, just doing some fucking quick math for you. Carry the 1, hold the 2. He outlanded his opponent by a fucking lot. Okay. So he made it look very easy out there against Luis Pujuelo, who is not a pushover. He's not Luis Pushover, right? And the craziest thing is how impressive that submission was, right? He was in a clinch position there, and right from the clinch, you might as well call him Darth Vader, because homie said, "Welcome to the dark side." Hit him with a little Darth choke action. It was beautiful. You love to see it. All the guys at 10th Planet were probably just chef kissing the air. I'm a big fan of this guy, dude. He put on the One Piece hat. Shout out Straw Hat Gang. Was
that One Piece?
Yeah, that's what the hat is.
Oh, sick. Yeah, I didn't know that.
Put on the One Piece hat. And he looks kind of like the character. So not mad at it. Put this guy on a pedestal. Put this guy on the UFC Noche card. And put him on your TV next time he fights, folks, if you missed this one, because he's someone to watch. And you don't even have to dedicate a lot of time, right? Like, pause your game of Fortnite, open up the ESPN Plus app. You're only going to be watching this guy fight for like fucking a minute and 30 seconds, right? Because that's all it takes. He gets it done very quickly. Typically, he gets it done very quickly. This one took less than 3 minutes. 2 minutes, 45 seconds of the very first round, right? So, don't have any names on the tip of my tongue for him, but he is someone that you can match up against really anybody. And I'm going to be honest with you, that last statement was a lie. I do have a name on the tip of my tongue. Some things write themselves.
Oh, talk to me. There's a lot of
the next fight. Youssef Zalal.
Oh, okay. Good little lead in. Why not, brother? He looked good as well. He got a choke. He's coming off a win. These guys are both dudes trending in the right direction. Why the hell not, huh?
Man, speaking of which, we got to go ahead and jump into that and address the elephant in the room here, or rather the squid in the room. We're talking about Billy the Squid Quarantillo. He came out there against Youssef Zalal, who looked better than ever. Of course, my bet was on Billy the Squid here. I bet a shot on that guy when we were talking with Mad Max. Man, oh man, it was a tough night at the office here, right? But I digress. Youssef Zalal, can't take anything away from him. He looked really good in that fight. He was leading on the strikes even up until he got the submission, right? So it's not like the submission came out of nowhere and presented itself when he was down the fight. He was up the fight. He was actually up 23 significant strikes. It was 10-33 at that point when he actually landed that rear naked choke. Happened just a minute and 50 seconds into the second round. And again, slick the way that he got underneath the chin. I saw it coming. As soon as he got under, I was like, oh man, he's going to tap. It's done. And Billy is typically one of those guys where the longer the fight goes, the better he gets. Almost Dustin Poirier-like cadence to the way that he fights, the way that he strikes, the way that he likes to get in town like Charlie Brown. That just wasn't the case here. Youssef Zalal shut him down effectively, efficiently. The biggest shocker for me is Billy didn't go to the body at all in this fight. He didn't land one single strike at all to the body. I mean, when you're going against somebody that has the cardio like Youssef Zalal, in my opinion, you got to shut down the body. You got to nullify him. I get that he went 20% to the legs there, but you got to nullify the body. I think going to the body would have paid dividends because Zalal had the head movement on a swivel there that night. And I mean, again, he looked better than he ever has. You got to find a way to slow him down. You got to find a way to negate him. And if the leg kicks aren't doing it, start winging stuff to the body. Throw those open hooks. Slap some hooks in there. You know what I mean? Like, get the distance on him and just really slap him in there and make him think twice about coming in on you the way that he is. Change the pace of the fight. Take back control of the dance. We just didn't see that happening. But man, Youssef Zalal, the way that he has been able to grow in the last couple years, I mean, this was a big layoff for him. I thought the ring rust was actually going to prove something here, but it didn't. If anything, he proved that sometimes you need to take time off to recover and let your body heal. He did just that. What stood out most to you, if anything, about Youssef Zalal's performance in this fight, Nano?
Yeah, man, just how game he was, right? His willingness to take this fight on short notice, his ability to bounce back, boomerang back into the UFC, and essentially do everything he needed to do to a tough kid in Billy Q, right? I mean, we would have been on the same page here. I would have said, this dude's a dog. Billy Q's looking to get on the right track. Yes, he may be a slow starter historically, but once he gets going, brother, he is like a juggernaut. He is downhill. He is hard to stop, and he's got plenty of ways to stop you and win a fight. But the reality is, he just looked a little flat. I don't know how else to say it. I mean, I think maybe it's more so to the hunger and the skills that a Youssef Zalal has, because it just really felt like Billy Q was not able to get going. And there were a couple moments there outside of Youssef's ability to use his range, landing those leg kicks at his disposal. But then he had two really slick takedowns. On the scorecard, he was 2 for 2. But if you were watching the fight, man, it was this really slick, what felt like a leg trip at distance, and basically just tripped Billy Q. It almost would be something like you as a big brother to do like your little brother or a little cousin or almost like a toddler. I don't want to be too disrespectful here, but it was a really slick move that, if I'm being honest, I say it like that because if I was Billy Q, I'd be pretty fucking pissed. Like that would have demoralized me. And then to get hit with it twice, I'd be like, I'd have been biting my mouth guard, and I would have just lost my cool, and I would have said, I'm gonna take your head off, Bob Barker.
You know what really grinds my gears?
You're gonna trip me like that? I'm gonna try to trip you, so fool. But yeah, no, that backfired. I mean, again, it was just so nonchalant. Everything about it was just crazy to me. But Yusuf's no joke, man. I think he kind of took some energy from Billy Q. I think he zapped him early on there. But maybe his punches were harder than Billy Q was thinking. Maybe Billy Q wasn't able to really prepare for someone like a Yusuf. Again, took it on short notice. So I think that nullified their skills a bit more. And yeah, man, Yusuf's a dog. This is someone that we're going to have to keep an eye on. Again, in this featherweight division, it's absolutely stacked. But this Moroccan warrior, 27 years old, find out a Factory X Muay Thai. Sky's the limit, man. I mean, that's a big win. Like Billy Q's that's a highlight win on his reel.
It's a big one. It's a big one. Billy Q's built quite a name for himself in the last couple of years. He's been taken. He's like the cowboy of our generation, damn near. Like the way that he takes fights. He never says no. Fun fact: I don't know if you fucking follow him, but he was back in the gym yesterday. Like Billy Q is literally back in the gym, working on the skills, sharpening the iron. Yesterday, he lost a fight 2 days before yesterday. I don't know if you know that. So good on him. Billy the Squid he's a man. He's the man. And he got beat on Saturday by Youssef Zalal. So I think Youssef Zalal's best next fight is going to be against Fernando Padilla. And again, Padilla is 16-5. Youssef is 14-5. They have very similar records. They're at the right trajectory. I think, like, come on, guys. Dana, 50 G's, baby. No, but seriously, give me a job as the matchmaker. It's easy money. I will help you guys. I'll do the research for fun. And speaking about stuff that I do for fun, one of the things that I've been enjoying just more than I should here lately is when Peyton Talbot has a fucking fight coming up. Peyton Talbot versus Cameron Simon, Africa's own. Hey, man. Me and Mad Max Meridian. We both took the dog here, Peyton Talbot. We knew that Peyton was going to get it done. I mean, we do have our shot to do for the last guy here, Billy Q. Before I digress, but boy, oh boy, Peyton Talbot, that guy's a beast. I have a dream fight that I want to see with him. Not what's next, but a dream fight. Nano, you let me know when you're ready to do that shot.
I'm ready, brother. I'm ready.
Let's go, baby. Let's go.
Cheers. Shout out Billy Q. When one door closes, another opens. And Youssef, man. Dog. And this was the Peyton party. This was the welcome party for Peyton Talbot, brother. My goodness. Excited to hear your thoughts. What stood out to you? I'll throw my 2 cents as well, but
I'll let you take the lead on this one. I feel like I've been steamrolling. Let's hear it, Nano. Let's
thank you, brother. Thank you, brother. Thank you. I mean, dude, Peyton Talbot, brother. Wow. I mean, the word, if I had to sum it up in one word, is wow. Impressive. Phenomenal. Dog. I mean, this guy is somebody, right? You're seeing the comparisons to a Sugar Sean O'Malley, and there's something to it, right? I mean, when you're watching him fight, and again, this is fighting off against a Cameron Simon, someone that is established in the bantamweight division, who is tough. He's 9-2. He was undefeated, obviously coming off some losses, but for all intents and purposes, if he had a number next to his name, wouldn't have been surprised. That's how good Cameron Simon is. But Peyton Talbot absolutely walked through him. I mean, it was special to watch. I'm trying to find the best way I can to articulate this, ladies and gentlemen, because that's how special it was to watch. I mean, he's getting these comparisons for a reason. Peyton looked absolutely stacked. He looked strong. He looked so comfortable in the pocket, and he looked almost ninja-esque. I'm referring to like a Neo Matrix version of striking, in the sense that when Cameron and him are exchanging in the pocket, dude had his hands at the hip, but was just outside of reach. Felt like he was watching the punches come in, almost like Spider-Man in that first Spider-Man movie when the bully goes to punch him and he's like, oh, wow, everything's so slow. What's going on
Flash
here?
Thompson?
Yeah, exactly. Flash Thompson.
Yeah,
brother.
I wouldn't want to fight me neither.
Ridiculous. I mean, he just looked so cool, calm, collected in there. Everything he threw was with purpose. It was stinging Cameron. He just walked through him. I mean, there's no other way around it. He made Cameron look like he did not belong in the UFC. And we're talking about a dude that is a legitimate bantamweight. So a couple questions I have is, how good can Peyton Talbot be? Does he deserve to have a top 15 conversation or fighting someone in that realm? I mean, I think hell fucking yeah. After a performance like that, not just beating a Cameron Simon for 15 minutes. It's like, no, he took him out early in that second round, and he did it definitively. It could have even been, most people probably would have been out of there the first round, but some of those strikes he was landing, the knees, the Muay Thai clinch, the elbows, which again, I guess to end my point here, was Peyton looked good in every range. I mean, from distance, he was able to land the leg kicks. He was able to land the 1-2, uppercut, body. Mid-range, able to land some really clean elbows, really clean rips to the body, some leg kicks as well. But then, dude, the Muay Thai clinch, the ripping, I mean, just the accuracy, phenomenal, brother. I want to hear your breakdown as well, and just give Peyton his flowers here. And boy, is this kid special or what?
Man, oh man, he is definitely special. This kid is the whole ass truth, man. I actually saw it. I'm not gonna lie to you. I saw it in his last fight. I watched him fighting Nick Aguirre. Sorry if you are somehow related to him. I know you guys share the same fucking name here.
No, but I will take it as if it was me.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I mean, like, slick Nick Aguirre, he put it on that fucking kid. I felt bad for him. It was 28-5 on significant strikes landed, 58-18 on total strikes landed. And he got it done via rear naked choke. Now, this one, I feel like he came out here with a point to prove. I feel like he wanted to prove that he's not just a sub guy and that he could get it done anywhere the fight goes. And boy, oh boy, did he prove just fucking that. He proved that when it comes to Peyton Talbot, there's more than meets the eye. Dude's like a fucking transformer, right? Like, you bring something at him, he's going to change. He's going to change form into something different, something better, something stronger. So this guy is someone to watch. In this fight against Cameron Simon, let me just do a bit of briefing here. Okay, folks? 2023, Cameron Simon was part of a big bet. Shout out to Jalen, the homie, went to Fight Week with us last week. He put this guy, Cameron Simon, on one of three of his legs. I think he bet like, I don't know, 100 to win 400 and something. And that's how we started our night for International Fight Week. Cameron Simon hit the very first fight of the night, and he did so extremely impressively. Okay. Now he did it on UFC 290 against Terrence Michelle. He destroyed him. It was a 3-minute and 10-second fight. Got a first round KO. Now, before that, he fought Steven Koslow. Now, if you're wondering, man, Stephen Koslow, I don't know if I know that name or not. Do I know that name? You might not recognize the name. You might not know his name, but I bet you may have heard his nickname. Obi-Wan Shinobi, the Pillow. Possibly the best and or worst nickname at the same time. That might have to be a new category in the fucking MMAnomaly Awards show. The best worst nickname. So Obi-Wan Shinobi, the Pillow, who has 6 submission wins and had 0 losses coming into that fight. So he is a submission machine, and he got knocked out in the 3rd and final round. So Cameron Simon went not only out there with a sub machine and knocked him out, but he did it after giving him 14 minutes to submit him. He landed 105 to 20 total strikes, 53 to 11 significant strikes. So we outlanded him on total and significant strikes 1 to 5. You guys and girls and anything in between, as long as you're a fight fan listening right now, I'm talking to you, I'm looking at you, and I'm saying to you, I'm talking about the loser of this fight. That's who I'm bragging about, okay? And this guy, Peyton Talbot, came in there, and I'm going to be real with you folks, he made him look like it was fucking amateur hour, okay? The way that he was able to control the distance and the range of this fight was something to behold. And not to mention, kid's very young. He's 25 years old. I know Cameron Simon's only 23, but this kid's only 25. He's not that much older.
Insane.
Also, when the fight started, Mare looks up. She sees his tattoo of like the giant circle on his chest. And there's also a circle exactly in the same spot on his back. And she's all, babe, what does that signify? And I was like, some say he's still trying to fill that hole to this day. And I obviously I said that as a joke because I had no fucking clue what it meant. I don't know enough about him. I just watched his fights at that point. Watched his interview on the Helwani show, and he said it literally is from the anime Bleach, which, come on, guys. We love anime fans here. Naruto, shout out. And I mean all the figurines in the back. You see the buff Vegeta right there. Boom. So yeah, you guys.
One of the characters had that.
So yeah, it's like a sign that's on Bleach, I think, and it's like a symbol of emptiness. So literally, it is a symbol of a void going through him. So my joke was actually correct.
It actually is pretty much, yeah.
I mean, pretty fucking spot on. Some say
I would have guessed it was what was Piccolo's move? The
special beam cannon.
Thought he got special beam cannon right there. Was solar flex there, but
I thought it was like a cannonball going through it, like fucking One Piece status.
That'd be sick.
Pirates, scurvy.
He's a savage, man. We'll be talking about him much more. We'll be talking about him much more.
He's a beast. Okay, so I'm going to throw it back to you to get your name that's on the tip of your tongue here. But before I give it back to you to get the name on the tip of your tongue, I have to let you know. Not only do I have a name to counter with, unless you, of course, choose the same name, which if anybody's watched this show before, they know that happens more often than not. We don't agree on a lot of things, but what's next, we tend to be pretty fucking hive-mindish about. But not only do I have a what I think it should be next for this guy, my guy, Jive Turkey Nano, but I've also got a dream fight 1 to 2 years from now. So tell us who you think should be next for the young man.
Oh man, this is the fun part, right? And again, I think the first thing to ask is he deserving of a top 15 in the bantamweight division? He is 25 years old. I mean, you look at the landscape and boy, is it crowded. You know what? There is actually a guy here, and I want to see if he has any fights coming up real quick before I say it, because it's someone that's based out of my neck of the woods here in Arizona. He's 30 years old, find out of Glendale. He does have a number 12 next to his name. I was thinking potentially Mario Batista. I think he would take that fight 100%. Extremely well-rounded. Dude's tough, has a chin. Granted, he's been knocked out before, but it's a long time ago. He's on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 fight win streak. I mean, do you take an unranked savage like Payne Talbot? I mean, maybe you think, oh, let's see what this kid's got. I mean, why the hell not, brother? That'd be a name that I would throw out there because, again, I do think that Payne is deserving of a top 15. When I look at the landscape, a couple people just fought. But Mario Batista, man, that sounds like fireworks to me. What name do you have, brother?
Mario Batista, man, that's a good name. That's a damn good name. I'm not mad at that name. Definitely not mad at that name. So I think Mario Batista would be a very, very fun matchup for him. But is he ready for a Mario Batista yet? That's the question, right? I think he is. I actually think Mario Batista would be a perfect matchup for him. That's who I had written down on my thing too.
Hive mind, let's go.
Over here as good as I can.
We're back.
But no, it's the same shit. I literally had Mario Batista, and then so I have a 2-year plan for him. Okay, so first one, Mario Batista. I think this is just a solid fight. He's sitting at number 23 in the fightmatrix.com rankings when I looked. If he beats him, I've already got the next one lined up. Jonathan Martinez.
That's fire.
Right? Now, if he beats Jonathan Martinez, I've already got the next one lined up. Like I said, I got a 2-year plan for him, okay? If he beats Jonathan Martinez, we really test him against who will, at this point, 18 months from now, be the greatest bantamweight gatekeeper, possibly of all time. You know I'm talking about Corey Sandhagen, folks. If he beats Corey Sandhagen exactly 2 years from now, greatest UFC bantamweight fight of all time. It's the battle of them boys. It's the battle of the solid fro versus the colored fro. It's the battle of Shikashan versus Payton Talbot.
Man, there's a lot of youth. There's a lot of exciting matchups in this division, brother. I love it. That's a fun path. Not to totally rain on the parade because I don't think it necessarily is, but Jose Aldo is set to fight Jonathan Martinez, set to return for UFC 301.
Yeah, but Jonathan Martinez is going to beat him.
Yeah, it's fair. 37-year-old Jose Aldo. So he is on the docket, but that could be a quick turnaround.
Jose
to your
Aldo
point.
of like 1999 versus Jose Aldo of 2024, which is Jonathan Martinez.
Yeah, good call. A lot of fun fighters, man.
It's a very similar style of fighting that they do. Like they both throw very heavy leg kicks, both really solid boxers, both not afraid to get in the pocket and throw when it needs to happen. I just think the younger guy's going to win. And this is the one time that I will say that. I'm an old dog fan. And I love Aldo. But I'm going to go against him in that fight. So that's my 2-year plan for Payton Talbot. Couldn't have gotten it more right on your end. Edmund Shabazian. Did you think he was going to get it done over AJ Dobson? Did you have him? Did you?
No, I would have. Yeah, I like my boy Shabazian, man. I think the golden boy. It's hard for me to bet against him, man. I would have assumed he would have eventually got it together, and he did, man. He did. But I do want to throw an asterisk out there because partially, it's just a part of me feels like AJ lost it more so than Edmund won it, and I'll tell you why. If you're really watching that first round, I know it only lasted 1 round. But just watch those first couple exchanges. What you would see is AJ Dobson actually starch or have Edmund on skates. He did connect with a tough left or right hand. And that scared me. I thought, okay, if AJ applies a little pressure, maybe take him down. Maybe continue to beat him up a little bit. Edmund might fold. But Edmund did not fold. Okay, the golden boy turned into the golden man. And said, I'm not a child no more. AJ, you can't just bully me around. You can't just pick on me. I'm going to stand my ground. I'm going to hit you with what almost looked like a forearm shot. Got AJ on his back foot, and then he was able to pounce on him like a spider monkey. So Edmund, hey, man, he did mention in the post-fight conference he is to kill or be killed out there. So that's what we saw. That's typically what we get. And he was just happened to be on the right side this time. I don't know what the odds were going into it, how heavy of a favorite he was, or if he might have been the dog. Would have taken him at plus odds for sure. But if it were crazy odds, I think, you got to tamper the expectations a little bit. This guy's not a world beater. I don't know if he's on a direct path to a title anytime soon. He's probably still a few years away, probably a handful of fights away, in my opinion. But this was a step in the right direction. He has the knockout power. I just need to see a little more durability, a little more strength, and just a little more command throughout the fight. But what are your thoughts, brother? I mean, is Edmund back, or was it more of a fluky win to you?
Part of me wants to say flukes don't exist in this sport, but that's just simply not true. Because Jorge Masvidal exists, and so does the flying knee knockout over Ben Askren. So, do I think it was a fluke? Jive Turkey Nano? I do not. I actually think that this was just a prime example of him learning and growing from his camp at Extreme Couture. He has been training there for some time now, and I think that it's finally starting to pay off for him. He's finally starting to grow and show that he does have what it takes. I will say that, he's always had one-shot knockout power. He's always had crazy power. So the fact that he got a knockout isn't the craziest outcome for this fight. I did want to see it go a little bit further. I did want to see it go a little bit, worse for him, so to speak. Just see him get into deeper water. See if he can survive that quicksand, that imminent wave of pressure and power coming from AJ Dobson. And when me and Mad Max Meridian broke this down last week, one of the things that I actually mentioned was that AJ Dobson is at a point in his career, and more so at an age in his career, where I just thought that he wasn't going to mind getting a boring win and shooting takedowns relentlessly. He didn't shoot one takedown. And I think that did not pay him any respects or any favors, right? So I'm intrigued to see who he comes in against next. But I was impressed with his performance. Do I think it was a fluke? Not at all. I think he weathered the early storm. As you said, he got pelted early on. Just bleh, he got smacked. And he recovered very quickly. It was like the recovery time we used to see in a featherweight Dustin Poirier when he'd get knocked down very early on in most of his fights. I used to joke, like, Drew used to always say, like, it's not a Diaz fight until they're bleeding. This isn't even his final form. And I would always say it's not a Dustin Poirier fight until he's been dropped at least once. He's got 3 of those in him. In featherweight, dude used to get dropped every fucking fight. So Evan Shabazian had a great recovery time, paid dividends. Do I think that he is the next Ronda Rousey style world breaker? No, but I think that he has potential to be somebody, and somebody damn solid if he continues at this rate. Keep training at Extreme Couture, keep improving at Extreme Couture, and I do think that the sky's the limit for this kid if that's the case. I look forward to seeing what's next for him. Real question is, do you have any names on the tip of your tongue, Nano?
Oh, brother. Do you have anyone? I do not. I can quickly look at the top 15 and answer the $1 million question if he is worthy. And at this point, I don't feel like he is. So I would say anyone in the top 25. Do you have a direct name though that tickles your fancy?
Sorry about that. Was still muted there. So yeah, in the top 25, I mean, in top 15, it's definitely a no from me. In the top 25, is there somebody that's kind of at the tip of my tongue? Yes. It's just tough though. Like, again, do I think it's going to play out well for him? That is the question for me. And I can't honestly answer that. So for me, I think Gregory RoboCop Rodriguez would be a really fun fight for him. Another stand-up affair. I don't think he'd try and take him down, but RoboCop is pretty damn durable, and the fact that he can get hit pretty hard. If he's able to one-shot him the way that Bruno Fajeda was, I'm a true believer. Do you think that'd be a good matchup, or what are your thoughts on RoboCop versus Golden Boy?
That's a banger. I mean, I'd pay to see it. Not great for our boy Golden Boy here. I think RoboCop comes out with nothing but ill intentions and typically tends to finish his opponents or be on the victorious side. So not a good outing for our boy Edmund, but is that the caliber that I think he should be fighting at this point? I think so, man. I think a win over an AJ Dobson, finishing an AJ Dobson certainly gets you to that next level up, and certainly a RoboCop is in that conversation, 100%.
Yeah, I think it's a solid fight. I definitely pay to see it. Do I think it's the best fight stylistic wise for Edmund Shabazian? No, but I think that's what he needs right now. The people that have performed the best, or rather had the best legacy, are the ones that have embraced the uncomfortable. GSP, Khabib, John Jones, etc. So embrace the uncomfortable, grow from it, get better, embrace the grind, as DC says. And I'm here for it, man. Oh man, we got another shot to do. Fuck me. Carl Williams coming in against Justin Tafa, big brother Tafa. Oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man. He's a bad man. He's a bad man.
Yeah, that was tough. That was tough. He had some opportunities, man. He certainly had his chances. No shortage there, but unfortunately, our boy, and I'm calling him the Australian one punch man, because our boy Tafa, man, he needs that one punch, but if he doesn't get it, it's going to be a bad night, unfortunately. And our boy Carl Williams, man, this guy should be on the Olympic wrestling team. This dude put on a clinic, and he's got an iron jaw.
Man, I almost wish he would have attempted one less takedown just so we could change his nickname to 7-Eleven. He went 7 for 12 out of takedowns. Sorry, that was a really, really bad joke. Oh, shit.
I love it. I love it. That's what we're here for.
He went 7 for 12 on takedowns. I was like, fuck, bro. You were this close to setting me up with such an easy one.
Would have been a layup.
7-Eleven here. He really crushed it though on the total strikes. At least he kept the total strikes easy for me, because I can't forget that number. It was simply 1, 2, 3. He landed 123 total strikes against his opponent, who landed a whopping 27. Now here's where it gets a little bit dicey, guys. If you look at the significant strike numbers, we had 40 to 21. That is not nearly as big a difference as 123 to 27. We're talking 1 to 5 versus 1 to 2. So when Tafa was throwing, our boy was throwing hard. Okay, he was trying to really hurt his opponent here. Man, did you pick Tafa in this one? You did pick Tafa in this one.
I would have, had him on my DK.
I was gonna say you had him on your DK, right?
Would have taken would have taken the one shot. Would have taken the one shot, man, 100%. I mean, that kind of power. A little bit of a longer rest. I know he was just in a training camp. I thought all stars would have aligned for him to be a good outing for Justin Tafa and maybe taking that next step in his career. You sort of fantasize it sometimes as a fan. Maybe it's manifestation, or that it does happen to certain fighters, and thought it was his time, thought that shoulder was going to be tapped, but was not. Carl Williams certainly showcased a well-rounded performance there. One, great chin, being able to weather the one punch power, and then once he got past that initial barrage, was able to take it to where he needed to, and that was on the ground in the clinch up against the fence, really neutralizing a tough son of a gun in Justin Tafa. What really stood out to me was Carl's offensive prowess and his ability to land 123 strikes out of 176. That is pretty gosh darn good. Like what I see there. For all intents and purposes, I mean, one judge had it 30-27. I think I would have scored it the same way. It was a bit dominant. Again, Justin had some wow moments, but aside from that, I don't think that would have been enough for me to give him any round at any point. I do truly feel that Carl Williams was just a well-rounded fighter and a good representation of that new class of heavyweight, good boxing background, good hands, and ability to weather a freaking storm, man. Because at the end of the day, you got to be able to withstand that one punch power. Getting more than one on you is gonna, by all means, good luck. But if you can weather that counter punch from a Justin Tafa like that, you could just about do anything in this world.
I definitely agree. I mean, the crazy thing is, Carl Williams attempted half as many takedowns as Justin Taffa landed significant strikes. Like, that's just a weird stat. Come on. So many takedowns attempted. And like you said, he is from this new breed of heavyweight fighters that are, I mean, with all due respect, Nano, they're built like light heavyweights. They're built like middleweights. They just have an extra 40 to 80 pounds on them. But they still have the same shape. They still have the same build. It's wild. So again, this guy put it on him. He looked really, really good. Now, the big question is on the tip of my tongue, do you have a name on the tip of yours? Carl Williams did look really, really good out there. But did he look good enough for the upper echelon? Did he look good enough for the top 15? Did he look good enough for a household name? Who you got?
Yeah, it's a great question, brother. And it certainly deserves a conversation. I'd say why the heck not? I mean, you got a 10-1 record. You were able to beat a Justin Taffa, who you can argue was probably going to get that nod anyways. So maybe you do allow a Carl Williams to steal that momentum to get that nod to earn those points and get matched up with anybody, brother. Rodrigo Nascimento, very similar record, coming off a win against Dontel Mays back in November 2023, 11-1. I like it. Another one too that is it Marco?
Are you gonna?
Is it Marcos? That's an man. I mean, great. If you give me the option, we're gonna. I mean, our paths are gonna cross at some point. Their paths are gonna cross at some point.
There, brother. Like, come on, like Junior Taffa. Like they each just fought a Taffa.
They both knocked off the Taffas. Yeah, that's fair. There's a narrative there.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
I like it.
They have the Taffa connection. So I would like to see that fight. I'll be honest with you. 4 days ago, if you asked me how that fight goes, Marcos Rogerio de Lima versus Carl Williams, I'm going to Rogerio de Lima all day. 10 out of 10 times. 10 out of 10 times. But now, boy, oh boy, not so much. I think Carl Williams, 7-11. Got some snacks for him, bro. He packs a punch in them takedowns. I mean, the fact that he was able to get as many takedowns as he did, he got 7 fucking takedowns here, guys. Like, that is just a god awful amount of takedowns. Okay. So I digress. Dude looked really, really good. I'd like to see him in there against the top 15 opponent next. We do have a shot to do for Justin Taffa. And then we're going into the main event here, folks.
Let's go. Just in time.
Here we go.
Oof.
Fighting spirit here poured up.
Nice.
Cobra Kai, strike first, strike hard, no mercy.
Let's go. Whew.
Let's get it. So now we have, with that being said, the main event to talk about here, guys. Amanda Ribas versus Rosa Namajunas. This was a fun fight. Rose looked really good. She looked really good in there. I had Amanda Ribas on this one. Didn't put a shot on it, but I did put a bet on it, and I was wrong. Oh, man. My betting was bad this week, you guys. I'm still playing with house money, but it's okay. It's not okay, actually. It's not okay because we're dwindling down the house funds. I don't like that. So we're gonna build them back up. Okay, we're gonna build them the fuck back up. I'm not fucking leaving, as they say. So I was wrong on the call, but not mad about it because here's the thing. I think this was a very, very close fight, right? Rose Namajunas had 6 minutes and 59 seconds of control time, but only 1 takedown. Her opponent had 4 takedowns of 8. So 4 of 8 versus 1 of 3. Higher percentage here of takedown accuracy goes to Amanda Ribas. Rose's ability to scramble and change position was really the game changer here, right? Amanda would get a takedown and Rose would get more control out of it. Amanda got 2 takedowns in the very first round, 18 seconds of control out of those. Do you know how much control her opponent had, Nano?
Not much at all. I don't know. I'd have to double check.
Her opponent had 1:55.
Ooh, boy. Oh boy, how did that happen?
Ibas got two takedowns out of 3 attempted. 18 seconds of control time. Her opponent got almost 2 minutes of control time. So 20 seconds to 2 minutes, essentially. Next round, Amanda Ribas goes 0 for 2 on takedowns. Her opponent goes 0 for 1 on takedowns. You wouldn't even think there is control time, but I digress. 2 minutes for Rose, 0 for Amanda. Moving into round 3. Amanda Ribas goes in there and lands 2 for 3 on her takedown. 66% clip, right? Her opponent, 0 for 0. 24 seconds of control time. Amanda Ribas, though, pulled it out. Minute 20 seconds here of control time. Also, outlanded her opponent 31 to 20. So, round 3, Ribas. Round 4, Amanda Ribas. 0 of 0 takedowns. Her opponent 1 for 1 on takedowns. Rose gets 2 minutes and 40 seconds of control time. 45 to 29 on total strikes. 10 to 7. But in favor of Amanda Ribas on significant strikes. Going into the 5th and final round. 0 takedowns landed. 1 attempted by Rose. So she has a takedown defended by Amanda Ribas. Amanda lands 1 less strike than her in both significant and total strikes. However, I felt she won this round, right? So really the deciding factors in this fight come down to, and I'm asking you not about this fight, Nano. I just want your honest answer. Just like close the eyes, put the blinders on, and answer this simplistic question. In the overall spectrum of mixed martial arts judging, do you think that total strikes or significant strikes should be weighed heavier?
Man, I guess the significant strikes would probably be scored 1.5 versus a strike, which is 1, right? So I guess I would like for it to be scored that way. Yeah.
Same. So if that's the case, if we're going off of significant strikes versus total strikes, Amanda Ribas wins round 4. And round 3, even though there was almost a whole minute differential of control time, there was 1 significant strike differential, 18-19. And I thought Ribas did more damage in round 3. So again, Ribas wins round 3. I thought Ribas did enough to win round 5. Round 1 is somewhat up for debate because it was 30 to 35 on total strikes, 16 to 23 on significant strikes, but it really depends on how you rank a significant strike. Ribas is somebody that is, I don't know, I feel like if you curse at her, like she will make a scowl, like you'll see that you upset her, right? She's not somebody that has a poker face. She's an excited fighter. She's an excited or an easily excitable fighter for that matter. So I feel like it's very, it's not matter of fact. It's more opinionated on what a significant strike is, right? Like if I punch you in the stomach right now and you don't make a face, is that considered a significant strike? I can't see any blood from it. I hit you as hard as I can in the stomach. Maybe it hurt you, but you don't react. So it's not significant. But if I hit you with a jab and it's not that big of a deal, and I don't know, maybe you fucking are being theatrical and you're like, oh, now that's a significant strike. And I think that's a problem. Am I saying the wrong person won? No. I thought this really, truly could have gone either way. I did think it was a close fight. I do think the right person won. I thought Rose did win the fight, but just wanted to play devil's advocate and see, like, did you have maybe 3 rounds for Ribas, or did you think it was a pretty clean cut, cookie cutter decision here?
I felt like I resonate with the 47-48 the most. I don't think it was a 46-49 in my opinion. I do think going into that last round, I was rooting for Thug Rose, and I was being subjective in my opinion in that I felt like it was 2-2. I felt like some of those middle rounds you easily could have went either way. I think if I would have maybe looked at the breakdown of the strikes, even just the feel of the fight, did feel like Thug Rose early on was winning. She was able to counter. She looked really good and fluid with her movement and changing levels and landing strikes in awkward positions, which paired really well. And I think where Amanda, although her movement and her ability to move forward or willingness to move forward and feint and throw some really unique spinning strikes, I think all of that was maybe not too much, but I think that where I would have liked to see her take it up another notch, because I almost felt like Thug Rose was going to start to slow down. Again, this is a flyweight Thug Rose we're talking about here. This is not two-time champion strawweight. So how is she going to look here at this new division? How is she going to feel? How is she going to react? Is she going to look as strong, as fluid? She even mentioned being a bit slow. Maybe she felt that way. It didn't look it to my point. From my perspective, she still looked to be sharp. She was able to get in and out of range, but she did get landed. She did get hit quite a bit. Amanda did look stronger, even though they both have fought in both divisions. So I don't know if, Amanda's a true flyweight. So that is something to consider there. But yeah, man, it was a really fun fight. I mean, Amanda looked absolutely savage. I thought she could have taken grasp of this fight at certain points. She had it like every bit of momentum. It looked like at points Thug Rose was slowing down, but I think if we're being honest, she probably wasn't, right? I think she was maybe getting acclimated to the new weight class, getting familiar with Amanda, but she started to get her reads, and those one strike counters turned into 2 or 3, and the control, even though she got taken down more than Amanda did, she was able to get those reversals and able to just get into more favorable positions. And Amanda just wasn't able to do enough there either. So I think that is what nullified it for me. But if we're just looking at the striking, I mean, Thug Rose looked every bit of Thug Rose out there. She's back. I love this flyweight version of her. Amanda's tough as nails as well. I think she deserves to be in the conversation still. But it was weird not seeing a number next to Thug Rose's name. So I'm like, is she, not getting any respect right now? She wasn't ranked anywhere. But I think she's right where she belongs, at the top of the conversation and sitting pretty.
Have you seen the update today?
In terms of rankings, no.
She's sitting at number 7 now. From not ranked
nice.
to number 7 overnight.
And I mean, she probably should have been somewhere on there. I think Amanda was 8 or 9.
She lost. She only had one fight in that division. She lost.
Yeah. Which was she ranked going into that? Because maybe that was the thing.
She was unranked going into that. She
loss,
moved up in weight class. She went against Manon Fior,
who's a savage, who's fighting for the number one contender. She still lost
a fairly dominant decision or actually, I think, did she get finished?
No, it was a decision, right? Yeah. Let me see if it was 5 rounds or not. She lost a fairly dominant decision
to Manon, and
it was only 3. Yeah, you're right.
I mean,
I gotta go back and watch it, because I only seen some of the highlights and hearing Thug Rose talk about it. She felt like it was closer, but
I would advise you to watch it on mute.
And
this is one of the few times where I will say that I am a big fan of the UFC commentary. I think they have the best commentary across the entirety of all MMA promotions or boxing promotions, combat sports promotions, in general. But I will tell you to watch that one on mute. I feel like they were really, bless you, riding Thug Rose on that one really hard. Bless you to the third power, my guy. Take a fucking allergy pill, my guy.
'Tis the season, bro. Oh.
Dude, you, me, and Mary, like, we've all been seasoned, dude. I give Mary shit. I'm like, did you take an allergy pill? She's like, no. And I'm like, please do. Also, fun fact for you and for our listeners, if you suffer from allergies, this is not an ad. This is just me being real. One of the homies back in restaurants told me this, and I swear by it. I actually need to go pick some up now. So basically, when allergy season starts or right before, if you can find a farmer's market, right, or just a local honey vendor in general, ask them which is the one for allergies. They will tell you. They will give you a local honey that they harvest in area, and what's going to happen is you're gonna eat that, right? You're gonna eat a tablespoon of it a day for 7 days and build up an internal immunity to it, and then after that you have no allergies, and it's the coolest shit ever, bro. Because I hate sneezing over and over again, and I have terrible allergies. I never had allergies in Louisiana, but when I moved to California,
Oh, sun.
Humidity, bro. It's all the sun and the dried pollen, and it just fucks my shit up. So dry pollen obviously sucks. So get yourself some local honey. Local honey, local Muay Thai, local MMA. Support your local martial artist and your local honey vendor, folks. So in this new division for Thug Rose, she's in the flyweight division. She's now ranked number 7. Before this, she was ranked 0 because not ranked at all. There's a number of fights that I think would be really, really fun for her. I have one name on the tip of my tongue, and I just don't know how you're going to feel about it, Nano. I really don't know how you're going to feel about it. But I got it. Throw it out there. You're Thug Rose guy, right?
Yeah, I love Thug Rose. Talk to me.
I think it's time for the past to meet the future. I want her to fight Macy Barber.
She called her out. I love it. Let's go. Let's go. Why not? Why the fuck not?
Why the fuck not, mate?
I love it, man. She called it out. Yeah, that makes sense.
I know you're right about it.
I know that.
I know that. I think that'd be a fun fight. I think Macy Barber has impressed me more than anybody else in the last few years. And I just think that, yeah, man, it'd be a fucking good matchup.
Feels like a no-brainer.
Feels like a no-brainer, guys. So set that one up. I think it's a damn good fight. Oh, speaking of a damn good fight, we got a hell of a fight card to break down on Thursday, my guy. We got Erin Blanchfield coming in against Manon Fior. We were just talking about her. I feel like, man, just
a little foreshadowing there. I think I know where you're leaning.
I mean, I wouldn't be so sure. I really like Erin.
Okay. Never mind.
A little bit more research.
Stay tuned.
I'll be honest with you. I've changed my mind on this one at least 3 times in the last 2 weeks.
I mean, that's a good problem to have, right? They're that freaking good of a matchup. Let's go.
That means it's really good. That's what I'm saying. Like, that means it's really good matchmaking. Same thing with Vicente Luque versus Joaquin Buckley. Like, I've never met Vicente Luque. I have met Joaquin Buckley in a parking lot for UFC Fan X. And I was like, bro, Joaquin Buckley. And he turned around. I was like, UFC knockout of the century guy? And he's all, my guy.
My man.
He was cool as shit, bro. It's hard to bet against that guy. And then, we have other things on the card, like Chris Weidman and Cedric Dumas, who just got in trouble for beating a woman. Is he still on the card? How's that happening?
Hey, I guess we'd have to look into that. We'll do our due diligence here. We have a couple days, but all
right. Well, we obviously have some work to do on our research end here. Either way, man, we have some fucking crazy cards. We have Connor Burks' doppelganger, Kyle Nelson, on the card against Billy Algeo. Chitty and Chukwani coming in against Reese McKee, who, just going to be honest here, I want to see him do well. I really do. They made this homie move a weight class up. He'd never fought in that weight class, and they gave him Khamzat Chimaev on 5 days notice or some shit for his first fight in the UFC. Like, Reese McKee, my guy. I hope you had a good camp. I want to see you do well. They're not doing you literally any favors, though. Chitty and Chukwani, man, the only thing sweeter than his voice is his knockout power. Fucking Christ.
Well said.
Have you heard the guy speak? If his fists don't put you to sleep, his voice will. They're both.
He should be on the Calm app,
smooth,
bro. Yeah.
They should definitely be on the Calm app, bro. Like,
he's got a future.
He's doing a voice acting gig. Like, again, I don't know if you've heard him, but for real, like he's got one of those voices. He's got like a great accent, and when he speaks, like he has this very deep voice, and when he speaks, it sounds like something when you're hearing a book narrated. It's just like, it's so very calming. And now you're listening to the calming sounds of Chitty and Chukwani. Yeah, like I would have to put so much effort into sounding the way that guy sounds. But for him, it's just natural. It's like a fucking faucet. He's like, let me just turn it on. Boop, boop, boop. So yeah, great fight card. Obviously, we wish we could have seen Sean Brady on there. That one got canceled. But man, we got Virna Jandiroba coming in against Lupe Godinez. We got Jamal Emmers coming in against Nate the Train in the UFC. Nate Landwehr. We got Julio Arce coming in against Herbert Burns. Man,
got some bangers.
Got some fucking bangers, top to bottom. We are going to be breaking down the entire thing. We got the Pleasure Man coming back too. I could go over this whole fucking card all day. But we'll be doing that instead on Thursday. So, as we like to say here, as always, we really appreciate you spending the last, give or take, 2-ish hours with us. And we hope to see you next episode. But either way, whether you're new, returning, somewhere in between, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, smash that bell for notifications. And one other thing we like to say on this show, keep on going, keep on growing. We'll see you next episode.
You've been listening to the MMAnomaly Show. No filter. As you may have been able to tell, we dig the MMA, and our passion is to dive deep into the upcoming fights, give you our expert breakdowns, and help you make sense of all the chaos that is the fight game. We hope you've enjoyed the show. If you did, make sure to like, rate, and review. We'll be back soon, but in the meantime, make sure to find us on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch at MMAnomaly. Be cool, and we'll see you next time.